the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. For the record, lab on me going all the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. For the record, for the record, yeah. For the record, yeah. For the record, yeah.
Yo, welcome to the Homeland Daily, where we're always pushing the culture forward, man. My name is Dan Cameron. Thank you so much for tuning in. My host, they were trying to leave. They leave the studio. We'll tell you what happens behind this.
Yeah.
We're actually in a discussion of trying to change our titles. We're trying to get our titles right. And if I left the group, I was the only one. They all like barged out the studio and left me. And if I left, then the show wouldn't have happened because it gave me an error. Are you sure you want to leave? The show will be discontinued. So I'm like, whatever. I'll stay on, I guess. And then they came on at the same time. They started laughing at me because mine obviously did not reflect.
No, see, we're laughing because ours don't match. Because we like to go.
We all have different ones right now.
Oh my goodness, this is too funny. All right, my name is Dave Cameron. Let me introduce the rest of the panel, the host, man. Give it up for Liz Charles, filmmaker, entrepreneur, amazing person. She's actually based in New York right now, but don't worry, fully Caymanian, and we love her. She's a part of the Homeland Daily show. Liz, what's up?
Hey, Dane. I'm so glad to be on the show tonight. How you doing? How you feeling?
That's good. You look like you have a lot of stuff to talk about.
You're always the last one to say how you're feeling, so I feel like I gotta get some info from you.
I'm good. Like I've been saying, this whole thing for me, since this whole like George murder, like what are we gonna call it? The execution of George? Like I've literally just been the edge. I'm not gonna lie, people are pretty it up and say, "Oh, I've been having fantastic days." I have my kids. And I'm married, so I do have fantastic days a lot of the times. But then my mind
he just flaunted his marriage. Continue.
Just go somewhere else. A lot of the times, like you're thinking about, and mostly it's. We'll talk about this some other time. But I am trying to be good. That's what it is.
Is red your favorite color?
It is. It is. I think red. It complements my skin tone.
Rico.
Yes.
Can you? What's going on with these conspiracy videos you be trying to?
Oh my! Hey, by the way, Rico Rolando, singer-songwriter, entrepreneur, big time singer. Give it up for Rico, man. And yes, Rico, what's going on with these conspiracies, bro?
Honestly, I don't know, but obviously, you guys know I can't stand Hillary Clinton for anything in this whole world. I think she's killery.
That's so interesting.
I think that she's killery. I don't like Donald Trump either, but I definitely do not trust Hillary Clinton. And
you dislike the Clintons more than the Trumps.
Oh yes. Real? Yes, because you know why? There's a lot of things that we don't discuss, and there's a lot of things that they're behind, and it's all gonna blow up this year. And I can guarantee you. So we're gonna go back to episode 39, and then we're gonna go back into the whole.
I think this is episode 40, isn't it? Yeah. Episode 40?
I don't know.
Nah, it's 39.
Okay.
Yeah, guys.
Although Liz could be right, she could be right. We could be on 40 and thinking we're on 39. That's a conspiracy too, right, Rico?
From what I saw on YouTube last night, it probably could be a conspiracy.
I gotta tap myself. I gotta, Rico be.
You wait and see what happens with what Hillary Clinton's doing behind the scenes. But anyway, that's enough for Hillary Clinton. What's going on with Entertainment Report?
All right, man, let's jump into this. I actually have a good entertainment report segment today, guys. We are going to talk first about the big man, the somewhat, and I'm a bias towards this, but somewhat of a great player. Let's give it up for LeBron James. Apparently, LeBron James, he's in the news right now because he's actually focusing on something new with a bunch of professional, successful Black athletes and entertainers. They've actually launched a new organization where they're actually protecting the votes of African American and their rights. Now, you guys have probably heard about this in the media, but this is something that's been all over the Entertainment Report and all over the world right now. New York Times just published something about it. Kevin Hart is a part of this also, too, guys. What's your thoughts on it? Because I know you heard about it.
Liz?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was still getting over Rico and his conspiracies.
Okay.
So, LeBron, he has been doing stuff for the community for a while. He's been investing in the community. He has a new film coming out that he's producing that's about, pre-slavery times. He, under his production company, which has done a ton of projects, done very well. He and Maverick. And I think that it's great. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and he was just like, yeah, I experienced voter suppression for the first time, like in Georgia, because as you guys know, they like closed down a bunch of the polling booths. There was a bunch of stuff not working. Like there were so many reasons that so many people could not vote in Georgia. And so I think it's great that you have people who are advocating for communities to be able to get their vote out.
Oh, wow. So are you happy about what LeBron is doing?
I'm happy about LeBron, all the work he's doing, and Kevin Hart and all the others. And I like LeBron. As once he put on a Lakers jersey, I had to find a way to reconcile my feelings about him. So
I feel you. I'm with Liz on that one. What about you, Rico?
Me too. I'm just gonna echo everything that Liz said. I agree completely with what Liz is saying.
All right, man. Don't have your own opinion. That's fine. All right. Now, you guys heard about the elderly protester who was violently shoved by two police officers in Buffalo, New York. Listen, that guy actually he's brought down from intensive care. I don't know what they were referring to it as, like, I guess medium, like he's doing well, okay, but he still has apparently a brain injury. Now, I don't have the full detail on what this brain injury actually is about and how serious it is. His lawyer is saying that he's, of course, doing much better and getting better every single day. But this brain injury is definitely a significant issue. And they're trying to figure out just how intense it is. He's already at age, right? So to get a fall like that and just seeing it on national TV, and the reason that it was done was never justified. Then you have a president that jumps on Twitter and says that he thinks that it was a setup. And that's actually pouring more gasoline on the fire, to be honest with you. Now, the two police officers that were responsible for this has been suspended. And of course, a few of the officers of Buffalo actually resigned the police force because they were actually protesting against those two officers being suspended. What are your guys' thoughts on the two situations? Because they're actually two situations at hand. This guy actually has a brain injury. And number two, how do you feel about the police officers being suspended? Do you think that this was a setup? Did it look like it was a hard push? What do you guys think?
Honestly, I think it's completely unacceptable in the way that the old man was treated. And to me, it's like they deserve whatever is coming for them, whether it's jail time or whatever else that comes with that. I know that one of the guys, he was like, as soon as he pushed him, like he knew that he effed up. And he was like, oh, let me try to help him. But then the other guys are just like, go, 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 go. And that's the part that I didn't like, is just like treating him as if he was like nothing and he was just on the ground bleeding and everyone saw it. So I think they deserve everything that's coming for them. So that's it.
What about you, Liz?
It's indefensible. Like it's indefensible. And anyone who tries to defend it, I have to wonder about their cognition.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I'm still on. I'm under the feelings that you guys are under with that. Like, you can clearly see that this guy was pushed extremely hard, and there was no need for it. There was no need for it. To be honest with you, it shouldn't have even got to that stage. It shouldn't have got to the stage where they actually had to push him. That's the part that really that annoyed me in the first place. So I don't know. The other officers that leave, the pressure is on for the police department right now. We're talking about defunding police officers, like making sure there are different laws that are written against police officers. There's so many things that's coming into effect. Of course, they're under a microscope right now, and that's how you should be acting. That's how you should be presenting yourself, like you're under a microscope. But
Like
it
the
seems
camera
like
wasn't enough for them, I guess. Like the body camera wasn't enough. Like they just, I don't know.
But it just reminds me of, the civil rights movements in the 60s when it really began to take off, and when they were marching and they had children in front of the line, and when it was the videos of the children being sprayed and the women, and that being the catalyst that caused others to take off. So when you see the most vulnerable in society being on the receiving end of some of the worst, most unnecessary treatment, that tends to help galvanize the rest of the public as well to continue doing what we're already doing.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, guys, we're going to move on from there. Last but definitely not least in the entertainment report, Khloe Kardashian and Tristan Thompson. You guys know these names, right? Did I? Oh, man. Listen, I got some news on this one. Apparently, they were recently spotted at his friend's birthday party, and they look like they are back together. Now, they put out a media report stating that they're not. They're not, but a lot of people at the birthday parties are telling complete different stories. Take a look at this picture right here. That's Tristan right there with the phone, and that's his hand behind who? Who? You ain't that close to your baby mama. I live in Cayman, and I know there's not a lot of people that close to their baby mamas at all. First of all, they're not going.
Unless they broke, guys. Then he's on his own.
So what's your thoughts? Let me pull this picture up again so you guys can see it for yourself. That does not look like a friendly whole like, oh yeah, we're just co-parents. We're just cool. Like we're just trying to work it out for true. That's not a true picture right there. That's a I want you tonight picture.
Yeah. But the Kardashians are so like made up with everything that they do. Like they probably didn't even break up from the beginning. Like this whole thing could have been a whole setup. Poor Jordan. The only person I feel sorry for right now is Jordan Woods because she lost all the rich friends.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for that little girl. Oh my goodness. I feel so bad for that little girl, but she learned her lesson. She learned it well. You got to know if you're a black woman who's friends with that family. You're supposed to know. But anyway. And also if you're a black man trying to be involved with that family. Anyway.
Fox. But yeah.
So that's
the good thing. Can you guys still hear me? It looked like I'm having some internet connection.
It is true. You are having some technical difficulties. We can hear you a little.
Can you guys hear me?
A little.
Am I coming through?
Sort of.
You're coming up, but you know what? That it is what it is at the end of the day with what's going on with Khloe. But I don't know. It's like, why are you going back? Where are you going back? Would you do that in that scenario? Would you have your ex baby father?
At the end of the day, they have to parent a child together, right? Like, they do. They have to parent a child together, and so they need to live in peace together. And for me, there is nothing romantic about that picture at all. There is nothing. That picture looked like they were taking a selfie for the gram or for their kid or whatever.
But she already said that she wants a second kid by him as well. So it's like, why are you going back into that whole
And
thing?
even that I understand, because if she wants her children to have the same father, it's just less complicated from a paperwork perspective, from even going through the system and society.
You know who the type of person that he is and the destruction that he's caused you in the past. Would you go back to him and have a second kid, Liz?
Oh, me personally, I wouldn't have had the first kid with him, but nevertheless, I guess mistakes do happen. And no, I guess I would not go back and have a second kid with him, but that's her strategic decision. And I understand the strategy behind it. She has a brand to maintain. She's got a new season of a show to be entertaining. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, if you're going to have a conspiracy theory about something, it should be about the Kardashian family.
Or it could be about Hillary Clinton. You never.
Why though? Why, Sway? Why?
It's like, from my conspiracies that I've, watched for the past couple of years, and it's like apparently she was supposed to be on trial, right? She was supposed to be on trial this whole week, and then the whole Black Lives Matter happened. And don't get me wrong, that should be priority, but at the same time too, the light should be focused on treason and what she's about. Like she could be dead next
For what
year.
treason?
I forgot what the story was about, but it was like I know, like she's just doing too much in the
What,
background.
Rico? Stop watching these YouTube videos.
No, I'm not
Oh,
going to.
goodness.
And
Man,
when she
guys,
goes
I'm
to
sorry.
jail, you guys are gonna be coming back to me. Here we go. What's next?
Oh my
Anyway,
god. Dane, save us.
Can you guys hear me well now?
We can hear you. Save me.
All right, man. I know that Rico had his conspiracy. Listen, guys, I'm so sorry. We've been having technical difficulties. Apparently, there was a lightning strike in my area, and the internet has not been performing well. Not only me, though, it's a lot of other people. But we have Jay Nice Jamar that's going to be joining us on the show while he's making his way in, because he's actually logging in from Toronto right now. Just got off the messenger with him. Listen, this guy is definitely a must listen to. Very respected in the media industry. Used to work for CBS Radio, it's a popular morning show. Was very much responsible for the launch of a lot of artists' careers. He's a child actor, a business investor. Also used to do a lot of stuff for Nike. He was an ambassador for Nike too. So we're very proud to have him. He's like one of those people that my mama always said, if you keep a good circle of friends, then you're going to find yourself becoming like them. So ladies and gentlemen, give it up for, I call him Jamar, but the world calls him Jay Nice. What up, Jay?
You walked away.
He's like creeping. He came.
Hey.
Creep out. He's got his iHeart Radio.
I'm back. Sorry about that. Sorry.
I can see that you're doing your job from home. How you doing,
I'm doing
man?
so much from home. Look at here. I'm here mixing. It's a lot going on, man.
All the fight.
All right. Welcome, Jay Nice, to the show, man. This guy is definitely funny, ambitious, dedicated. And I want to thank you so much for giving us the most important asset you have, Jamar Jay Nice. I keep calling you that. And that's your time, bro.
Thank you so much for joining us. So really and truly, I want to get, Dane has just given you a beautiful prelude, of your background. And we know that you live up to it and more. But I'd love to get actually a little bit about your background with Dane and how you guys got to know each other. Because he doesn't talk about that.
Really?
I want to hear.
He doesn't give the story. Okay.
No.
I wonder if I can even call the year. If I call the year, it's going to really date us badly. Back in the early 2000s, maybe mid 2000s, I used to do the morning show for a radio station in Cayman Islands called X1071. That station's still there, DMS, correct? X1071 is
that's
still
correct.
there. So I did that morning show for a few years, and it was right around the time that's probably around the time when the radio station started. And I was doing that morning program, and I met one of the interns there who was also on the street team, and his name was Dane Ramon. At the time I was in Miami, living in Miami, and I was going back and forth between Miami and Cayman, doing the show from Miami. So I was in Cayman quite a bit. And when I met this guy named Dane, who picked me up from the airport one of the times I was down there, he picked me up in the radio station van, and basically the program director told me, he said, there's a guy here that you have to meet. He said, he's just new in the game. He's never really done anything in broadcast yet, but I see something in him, and I just want to link the two of you guys. So I said, yeah, cool. So when I got there, he linked me up with Dane, and at the time, Dane was like my go-to guy. He picked me up, show me where the barber shop is, take me to go get some rotis over Sing, maybe if I want a little jerk like that. He'd be like, hey, Jay Nice, what you need today? And I'm like, right now I want to go Calico Jacks. Boom, we go straight there. Dane was just like my go-to guy whenever I was in Cayman doing my show from Cayman. Dane was my right-hand man. And, one day Dane just said to me, he said, yo, Jay, I've been listening to your demos. I've been listening to your shows that you do here on X. And, man, I really like your style, and I really want to do what you do. And I'm like, man, you could do this. You could do this. And one thing I really noticed about Dane, like any time I was in Cayman, I'd spend weeks there, days, whatever. But anytime I was there, everywhere we went, someone was hailing this man. Like everywhere, either on foot, if we're walk foot or if we're driving. Somebody is, yo, Ramon, yo, Dan, yo, brother, yo. I'm just like, dang, you know everybody here. He's like, yeah, man, you know, I grew up here and Ray, and I'm like, Dane, like, number one, you already have communication on lock. Like, basically, one part of radio is that, you know, when people listen to you, they have to feel like they know you and they have to feel like they relate to you. But then you already have that part done. Everyone here, like the entire island knows you. Everyone from expats to people vacationing to born bred 345 Caymanians, like everyone knows Dane. Like, Dane, you could do this.
Beautiful.
So
I appreciate you, man.
That was something that was a distinguishing quality about you that I noticed that. I mean, look here, I'll give you a story. One time I came down to Cayman.
Oh no.
Well, now we have to hear.
I give the story. I don't want to get myself in trouble. I hope immigration not listening. Anyway, I'm gonna give the short version of the story. All I gotta say is I had an issue at immigration when I reached. And they had me over there just asking all sort of questions. And I'm just like, hey, listen, I got something to do right now. I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of this airport. I'm gonna go link up with my brethren Dane. We have work to do. And the person said, what? I was like, yeah, Dane. They're like, Dane who? I was like, Ramon. He's like, oh, you're here for Dane Ramon? I was like, yeah. Yeah, literally, man said, all right, go on. That's when I knew the man was certified. Like, I was sitting there at immigration for God knows how long, and the minute I said Dane's name, problem solved.
That's amazing, man. And it looks like Dane is sweating a little bit. He thought you were gonna say a different story, but we're not gonna go there. But for everyone who's listening right now, who's maybe never heard of JNS, can you maybe tell the people a little bit about who you are and what's going on since COVID-19?
Yeah, man. Like, I'm basically, I'm a radio personality and DJ and host. I'm a little bit of a jack of all trades. I'm here in Toronto right now, in Canada. I'm the morning show host for an iHeart radio station called Chum 1045.
Amazing.
Before I was here, in Toronto, and this is the #1 radio station in the country. It's one of the oldest, biggest radio stations in the nation, in all of Canada. So it's a very, very special opportunity to be here doing this show, because you have man like Elvis Presley, Jimi Hendrix, the Beatles. All these people have been on the stage with the Chum logo, with their microphone.
Wow.
It's a legendary station in the culture. I mean, I'm not even Canadian, but what I've understood is that this is a very special radio station. So I'm very, very blessed to be here. And it reaches from as far to Buffalo, New York, to like the other side of Toronto. It has a very, very large reach.
Right.
So I've been here for about 2 years now. Before this, I was doing a morning show in Chicago at a station called B96, another legendary radio station. I was there for 10 years doing the show on B96 Chicago. Before then, I was in Miami at the legendary Y100 doing a night program there. And at the same time, while I was in Miami, I was the host of X1071's morning show. I did their midday show, as well as Star 92.7, and as well as Irie 98.9. So I've worn my Cayman welcome quite well, and I got my start in radio in Washington D.C. at a station called Hot 99.5.
Amazing.
Thank you,
man. Jay, one of the things I love about you, bro, is that I've hanged around you for a very long time, and I always get excited to hang out with you because I feel like you challenge me, right? I remember that you told me about this idea that hey, Dane, I'm gonna create a different entity to Hard Rock Cafe.
Yeah,
it's going to be the black version to the Hard Rock Cafe. So you're going to refer to it as the Hip Hop Soda Shop. And you actually had a lot of people on board on this business opportunity, like Buster.
Hey.
Oh, there it is, man.
There it is. About this, man. Great.
I was so proud of you. I didn't think I understood at the time how big this business was until you were doing one of your second launches in Tampa, I think. Miami. You launched it in Tampa already. There it is. That's
beautiful.
It was so beautiful, man. And then I remembered I went to the party, and Rico's a lot like me. If we go to a party, we don't know what to expect. So I walk up and I see Russell Simmons, Busta Rhymes, Fabulous, Megan Good. Like the line just kept on getting bigger and bigger. And then you told me that a lot of these rappers and stuff where you're partners. How did you manage to get into business with so many successful people?
Why? Let me tell you something. A lot of beggy, a lot of cry, all them thing there. Honestly, I worked a lot of my links. One of the things I try to do, listen, when I meet people, I try to keep those links solid. Over the years, growing up, I grew up in Queens, New York City. And the people that I kind of was moving and shaking with in New York. And even when I left New York and I went to university, and I went to the University of Maryland, and when I got into music, and I've just been around. I've been a lot of places and I've bumped into a lot of people. But one thing I've always done is I've kept my network very, very tight. So when time comes to like call somebody and be like, not even a favor, but to just let them know that, hey, I got something that you may be interested in. It's not like a call from a dusty phone. Like, I'm saying, who that? Like, who's this man calling my phone? Like, it's somebody who's like probably heard from me weeks ago or days ago. So one of my things, I'll tell you something. When you hear that you're from New York City, you probably think I'm from like this big city, but like I'm literally from like the Cayman of New York. I'm from like the tiniest part of New York. It's a little part called Far Rockaway. It's a little beach. It's actually a lot like Cayman if you really, really think about it. It's a beach
because
town.
it's by the water. Yeah,
it's on the water. It's a long strip of beach with just a bunch of little small houses, bungalows, and it's in Queens, but like nobody goes there because there's no reason to go there unless you're from there. So I'm from a small town. So the minute I broke out of my little small town from where I grew up, I realized that I need links. And every step I made, whether when I was living in Washington, D.C., or whether when I was living in Cleveland or Miami, anywhere, when I made those links, I kept those links close to my heart because I know that like, I buck up on people who really don't know me from nowhere. So once I know somebody, I gotta keep that. I have to, like, even just meeting Dane. Like, I met him and I saw something in him and I said, "Yo, that's a link right there, man. This man treat me so good. He don't know me from Adam, and he treat me so good. I gotta nourish this relationship." And it's not even from a place of selfishness. It's just from a place of like, people need people. I need people.
It's beautiful. That's wonderful. And the fact that that was something that you valued when Dane was an intern and you were working there goes to show something about your character, because so many times people will value a Russell Simmons, people will value a Busta Rhymes, but they won't necessarily value the intern unless they're Harvey Weinstein and valuing them in a different way. But we won't get into that. So this is our entrepreneur segment. This is the day that we do that. And so you've got Hip Hop Soda Shop, you've got, the fact that you're DJing on the side, you've got the fact that you're hosting, you're wearing many different hats. How are you managing all of these different enterprises? Because they're kind of all like different small businesses. Yeah. How are you managing all of these different enterprises without, what's the word that I'm looking for? Diluting the value of your input in them?
That's a very, very good question. That's a very, very good question. Basically, you have to set priorities. Number one, not everybody can't be everything all the time. So my priority, what really brings my value to the entertainment and business marketplace is the fact that I reach I'm a multimedia and entertainer. I'm a radio personality. And my program every morning when I talk on a show reaches close to 1 million, or on good days, 1 million people a morning. So I make sure that the radio show and the radio station is the highest priority. That has to always be going well. The ratings always have to be high. So that is the priority. Nothing can come before that. Like, even if I get a request to do something and it kind of bucks up on my radio schedule, I'm like, hey, that's not going to work. We got to do it around this, because that is that's my value that I bring to all of my businesses. The fact that I open my mouth and I can talk to 1 million people every single morning.
It's funny because in business school, what you just spoke about is essentially there's a framework, and it was created by BCG, and it essentially says that there are different quadrants of where businesses are, and you have to invest in new growth. But before you invest in new growth, you have to protect your cash cow, right? And that's exactly what you said. You have to protect your main asset, even though that asset is going to have a lifespan that you're at the top of it, and eventually, versus the growth assets. But if you are protecting your cash cow, then you can still use your time to invest in those other things. I just think the way that you spoke about it was beautiful.
100%. I never really quite heard it explained that way, but that's actually what it is. That is the asset. That is, it's not everything, but it is the greatest asset I have. The fact that if you work with me, if we get this done, if we need to expose this business, I have the biggest platform possible to do so.
Awesome, that's amazing. And how many places have you like lived in your whole life, Jay Nice?
I've lived in let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6.5, 7 now.
Okay. So how do you like keep yourself so grounded to like this is who I am, this is Jay Nice, no one else is gonna change me, no one is gonna stop me? Because I know for myself, when I went to school in Canada for 4 years, I like all of a sudden just lost myself. I was in a town that was probably 1% black people there. I remember I was just trying to fit in to do everything just to be normal, just like everyone else. How do you keep yourself, grounded?
Rico, that question, bro, like that's such a good question. Honestly, it's a question that no one's ever asked me before in all my life, and I'm happy to answer it, even though it's a bit revealing, to be honest with you. It's a very personal answer, but I'll give you the answer since you asked such a good question. When I was growing up, I grew up in, like I said, I grew up in New York City. I'm the son of two proud Jamaican parents.
That's where the accent came from. Continue.
I'm a proud Jamaican. Like I'm proud, 100% Jamaican American. But, when you grow up in America, people are always constantly trying to define you. And, as a youth, even if you grow up in one of these mixed neighborhoods, like New York is a very mixed place. People are telling you, you got the African Americans telling you that you're not black because you're Jamaican, but then you got the Jamaicans telling you that you're a foreigner because you're born a foreign. You understand? And then you go on your white friend and then tell you say you're too black, right?
Yep.
And you go to the Latino them, they say, oh, you're Caribbean, but you're not Caribbean like us because we're Spanish Caribbean. You're English Caribbean. Everywhere you go, me personally, everywhere I went in my whole life, I experienced people trying to tell me who the hell I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some people, I really thank the Lord. I don't know if it's my upbringing or my genetics, but I just made a choice in my head as I was moving around through life before I even left home, that I said, everybody's trying to tell me who I am and they're all wrong. So guess what? All that matters is who I think I am. And I remember as a youth, like as young, I really, really said that in my head. I said, I don't care what these people say I am. All that really matters is if I'm none of these things, then I'm gonna be just who I think I am.
Yep.
And that is something I've always kept through myself. So even when I left, New York and I went down south, like to the South, Maryland, to school where, people talk with accents like this and things like that, I said, yo, that's you, but that's not me. And that's cool. I know who I am. I'm Jamar J. Nice from New York City, a pro Jamaican, like boom, I'm me. So when I left Maryland, I went to Cleveland, Ohio, even though I was like, there's no one there like me. I said, I know what I bring to the table. I said, if you want this flavor, if you want this, then you got to pay for it. Like, this is me. And that's the attitude I brought to every situation I've been in. I've been like, yo, there's only one me on earth. I know that there's nobody else on this planet that brings the flavor, the swagger, or just even just a mix of experiences, that's me. And I think everybody has that on their own level. But it's once you really, really recognize it and say, yo, there's no one on this earth that can do what I do quite like how I do it. There is power in that. And I found power in that when people try to take power from me and tell me that I wasn't enough or I wasn't something, and it's something I've always kept throughout my whole life. Big up yourself, Tariq. Big up Tariq. I see him. All right. Yeah, man. But big up Mars and other Mars. Big up Mars. Yeah. I know this is about business, but I think on a personal level, in business, you got to bring what your personal asset is. And your personal asset is like your intellectual property, your person. We are individuals. God make each and every one of us different. They will even your twin is still different from you. Yeah. Twin, genetically different, still twin, but different in a little way. So you got to use your individuality and lock the market. And I believe I've locked the market on people like me. There ain't nobody else like me do what I do. I'm the only Caribbean top 40 radio host in North America.
Yeah.
No one can say that.
Dropping jet.
You know what I love is like when I get around you, there's two people in the world that can give me a reset, and they know who they are. You're literally the next person that I call on when I need to get that reset in my mind.
Mm.
And I remember one day coming to you, and I kind of wanted to ask you like the pinnacle question of life. Like, what do you want? Like, what is the ultimate? If you had to end your book, how does your story end? Because I've known you of this guy that constantly, like, I'm gonna say it. I'm a friend. I'm one of those friends that said, "Oh, I want what Jay Nice has. Like, I want to live the life that he's doing. I want to reach there." And you taught me so much more than just trying to strive to be like somebody else. Like, I remember you didn't really get involved with relationships because you cared about your career. You didn't want to settle down because you were motivated in being an entrepreneur. You made sacrifice. And I remember when I asked you, like, this Nike deal that you're getting, this CBS deal, this movie when you're on these sitcoms and these not a reality show, but the Empire show that you were on, I said to you, like, so what do you really want? Because I look at you and you don't really truly look happy. So what do you want? And your answer, I hope you still remember, because your answer like literally blew my mind. The things that you showed how humble you were.
Can you remind me what the answer was? I don't remember what the answer was. I hope I still want it.
You said that you would want nothing more than to have a hammock on the beach, and that would be your life. Like, you just love people. You just want to have a little shack, a hammock, and just meet people. Is it still the same, or has it changed?
Literally. Like, I don't really want much more than, I mean, it's really honestly not about the money. It's and I don't make a ton of money. I make good money. You know, I make more than your average because I'm in a good position, but it's not about that for me. It's about affording myself to be around good people, to be able to do the things I love and express myself and just catch a vibe when I'm ready to. And if it's a hammock sitting on 7 Mile Beach with a little thing, you know, something in my hand, and that's it. That's all it has to be, honestly. And then, you know, now that, you know, I'm a father now, so my priorities are a little bit different. I want my son to be proud of his family, but also self-sufficient. I want my son to understand the legacy. I want him to be able to look back and say, "This is from where I come, so this is where I got to go." You know, I lost my father as a youth when I was very young, in a tragedy. So I didn't have the benefit of having some of those conversations that I want my son to be able to have. I had to answer a lot of questions on my own. I couldn't ask somebody for the answers. So I want my son to have answers so that he can chart his path forward easier than I had to. That's really what I want. That's it. It's not about getting rich or anything or famous. Like, I don't even want to be famous, honestly. I don't like people all in my business.
That's a really beautiful thing to discuss, the way that you speak about wanting to leave a legacy for your son. And, you know, there's several things in my mind that I was thinking of asking you, but based on what you just said, if you had to leave 3 pieces of advice that would be your legacy to your child, what would they be? What are the 3 values that you would want to make sure to instill in him and that you think are necessary for human beings to be truly good?
The first thing, just based on my own life experience, like, once you have knowledge of self, and that's not even like lip service or something, I'm just trying to say like one of those quotes on a meme, like literally, once you are completely sure of yourself, there is nobody, rich, poor, popular, and no one can ever tell you who you are when you are completely sure about who yourself. So you decide who you are, you figure out who you are, and then you move forward from there. So knowledge of self is so important. Knowledge of self is so important because it helps set up your value system when you know who you are. When you don't know who you are, you'll do whatever they're doing, whatever they're telling you to do. You do anything, you know. But when you know who you are, you'd be like, I don't do those things. I don't do this. I don't go in this lane because that's not who I am. So knowledge of self is important. I would also say, you know, follow your heart. Follow your heart. I've followed my heart, and it's led me to make some decisions that most wouldn't make, but they turned out to be some really beautiful situations. Even just getting into the radio business, like no one really told me to get into radio. I followed my heart. I was in university, and I saw a radio station setting up an event somewhere, and I was like, man, that looks cool. And that wasn't even my major in school. And I said, I'm a music guy. I come from DJing and music. I said, I can do that. I need to pursue that. I need to find my way in. And I followed my heart, and it turned into a career that's been and quite in this industry, an enviable career, actually. So I'm very proud of that. So knowledge yourself, follow your heart, and it's okay to not be perfect. Perfection. There's no such thing as perfection. I just have to harken back to one of the things I've always told myself. I feel so fortunate that when people were judging me as I was coming up, that I literally told myself that doesn't really matter to me. Like, I had rough moments, but I said the judgment's not really what it's about. For me, I feel bad because you don't appreciate me, because I think so highly of myself that, like, and that's not in a boasty way, but it's like I know what I bring to a situation or what I bring to the table. You understand? So it's like when you really know that and you're proud of yourself, it doesn't matter what people say about you, because it's like you're just uninformed, and I kind of feel bad that you don't have the proper perception of me, but I know me, so I'm good. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What age did you really have that defining moment where you said, enough's enough, I'm sick of you telling me what to do, I'm sick of you telling me what to do, I'm going to do me regardless? And what was that defining moment for you, and how did you make that into a successful person?
Grade 10. At the time I was experimenting with, like, I was I used to DJ with my friends, but then when I was in school, I was taking music classes in my high school. I was playing guitar in the jazz band. I also played the saxophone. And then I just started experimenting with a lot of different music that most people don't listen to. Like, I was always a reggae man. I was always a hip hop man. But then I started getting into like a little bit of rock and roll and these like really cool folk bands, bands like the Dave Matthews Band, bands like Fish, Pearl Jam, and just started experimenting with sounds. And I just, where I'm from, no one listens to these music. You understand? Like in New York City and Queens, and people not listen to these music. So I had to listen to it by myself just so I could, because I just was intrigued by the sounds that the guitar was making, or the bass, the way the bass player and the Dave Matthews, man, wicked. Like the bass was so wicked. So I'm just like, yo, these people, like they just make sounds on a different level. And I don't care if I really have any company to experience this. I'll just have to do it by myself because it's speaking to me. So I would say, I remember the moments that I'm glad you asked that. Grade 10, I just realized that, I had to kind of branch off and do my own thing because I didn't really have any counterparts to share some of my interests with.
Wow. You know what? It's so good. This is usually when we wrap up the show, because we're coming close to that time. We usually ask that important question and advice that you would give to somebody that wants to get into this career or be an entrepreneur. But I want you to do that. But at the same time, I also want you to answer a very crucial thing. One of the reasons I brought you on the podcast tonight was you're successful, Jay. You created your own lane. You did what you wanted to do. You shine how you wanted to shine. You shine bright, and you gave permission to other people to shine. But when I saw George being murdered on national TV, I said to myself, that could have easily been one of my brothers, and I included you in that. I said that could have been Jay Nice.
Yeah.
And I could have been attending a funeral very soon for him. And then surprisingly enough, I happened to catch a segment on your radio station where you spoke about almost becoming George. And I think the public, especially K-Man, needs to hear that, because that was a beautiful story and not a beautiful event that took place. But when you shared it, you really taught us a big lesson in that. That's the part that was beautiful.
Yeah. In the year 1999, while I was in university in Maryland, long story short, a police officer came to my vehicle, wanted me to turn my radio down because I was blasting. I was out there fronting, trying to beat a man on campus, and that's not a crime. I mean, it might be, worthy of a ticket, but it's certainly not worthy of what the man did to me. He reached into my vehicle and literally choked me by my neck, started squeezing my neck and pulling me out the car, like very, very aggressive. And his partner was standing right there watching. And man had his two hands on my neck, pulled me out the vehicle, threw me up against my car, and just choked me in front of like maybe 100 people. This is before camera phones. So no one had a phone to take out and start streaming or nothing like that. Everyone was just standing up watching. People had cell phone, but it was like Nokia flip phone, you know. So there was no proof or no record of it, video record. But yeah, the man choked me, and he I couldn't breathe, and he let go when he was ready. And when he let go of me, they started laughing at me in front of everybody. And you know, at the time, I was pretty popular on campus. Everyone knew who I was, and it was terrible. It was an embarrassing day, very embarrassing day. And at this point, I already knew racism exists, but I'd never thought in a million years that a police officer would put his hands on me like that. So it's real, and I don't know. It didn't break me. I'll say that it didn't break me, but and I'm very lucky that I lived through that. But it's embarrassing, and I'll be honest with you. It's not the most comfortable thing to talk about, and you know. But on the other hand, it's also embarrassing that a nation like America, that's supposed to be so great with so many people, and so many people won't even admit that these are truths. And when you tell your truth, so many people won't say, "Man, that really happened." Like, yo, brothers, and we all know. We all know. I don't know one of my black friends that never been manhandled or treated bad by the cops. As a matter of fact, as this whole George Floyd thing has started, I'm now hearing from people who I didn't even realize, females, that told me the cops felt them up when they pulled them over. Like, disgusting stuff. You know, this is just a reality in the U.S. And power corrupts. You know what I'm saying? Power and I can't say enough. I know we're coming to the end of your program, but this thing that's going on, this movement that's going on right now is 100% real. I tell you that as someone who's here, it's real.
You know, it's interesting because I think about the fact that American parents, and I'm yielding my last thoughts to instead ask this question because we are coming to the time. But you having Caribbean parents are coming into a situation that they would not have been raised with. Right. And so a lot of times you hear African Americans speaking about the conversations that their parents had with them, but you would not have had that context necessarily because your parents wouldn't have had that context.
Yeah.
So, and also because you're coming from the Caribbean, you're coming from a place that isn't systematically racist in the same way. And so you have this kind of foundation of who you are. So I wonder how you recovered from the trauma of that incident, right? Because it is, I'm sure it was very traumatizing to get to the place where you are now of saying, I am who I am, who I am, who I am.
Yeah, you know what? I don't have the pretty answer for that, to be honest with you. You know, because of the way I am, I tend to kind of tuck things away and just put it in a compartment and leave it right there. So simple, like, boom, that happened. We're just gonna leave that right there. It's not the best way to deal with things. But funny enough, after that incident happened, I actually dropped out of college. I dropped out.
Wow.
And I went back to New York. I was just embarrassed. I was broken. I was broke. It was shortly after my father passed away around that time. It was just like a mountain of things that happened at the same time. So I actually dropped out of school. And then, you know, I was in New York for a year, just kind of doing odd jobs and going to community college. And eventually something snapped into me one day and decided I need to go back to school. I need to go back down to Maryland. I need to give this thing a shot. I need to go there and finish. And I don't know what it is, but something down there is calling me for a different purpose. This is before radio. This is before anything. I was just a dude in school. So that I took that year off and I went back. And funny enough, I changed my major at the time when I was in school. The first time it was psychology, but when I got back to school, I changed my major to African studies.
And that's so telling.
I literally I said my major is now going to be African studies, and I studied the history of Africa pre-slavery. Like so I learned about the history of the continent. I learned about the history of the civilizations that were there, you know, And this further helped me to edify myself, to know who I was, who I literally was. I learned about the tribes, you know, in Ghana, Togo, Benin, Burkina Faso, like all these places. I learned them in detail. And
You healed yourself. You healed your trauma with truth.
I
That's
healed,
what you did.
healed my trauma with truth, and I didn't even know I was doing it, to be honest with you. But it just seemed like the right thing to do. I didn't know why I even did that for school. And then at the time, while I was studying African studies, that's when I got into radio while I was in school. And I
Wow.
said, that's who I am too. I'm musical. That's what I want
Used
to
your
do.
voice.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you know, from there, you know, the rest is history or present.
Oh man. Wow, I really love this segment. As usual, I think our show is getting better and better, guys. Every time we bring on these incredible guests from around the world, and Jay Knife has proved that. Jay, before we let you go, just a word of advice to someone that's listening right now that plans to be in the media industry, that plans to be an entrepreneur, that plans to explore the world like you did, or just chase their dreams and make their light shine. What advice would you give them in 30 seconds or less?
You're unique. You're from the Cayman Islands. Not many, less than a percent of people can say that. And I damn near feel like I'm from Cayman because I'm there, you know, so often, and you know, I have history there, and I go hard for the 3, 4, 5. But harness the fact that you're from Cayman. It's special. It's unique. It is it's special. I love it. I love it. Maybe some more. No, I'm not gonna say that. harness that uniqueness. I've traveled all over the Caribbean, and Cayman is unique and special. Harness that in whatever you do, and carry that flag proudly, to carry that culture proudly. Also, knowledge of self. You know, your Cayman experience and your personal experience, like what really happened to you. It's only happened to you. There's only one you. There's only one Liz. There's only one Rico. There's only one Dean. And you know, when you can capitalize on your asset, which is you, that no one else got, and once someone sees the value in it, sky's the limit.
Mhm.
Amazing. I love that, man. Wow. What a beautiful show, man. Liz, anything you want to wrap up with before we go, Liz?
I'm a woman of my word. I yielded my time.
How about you, Rico?
You know, I actually just like to thank Jay Nice for coming on the show today. It's been definitely an eye opener, and just the last part that you said about being unique from Cayman, I think a lot of us really take that as a discredit and say, "Oh well, we're such a small island, no one really notices us." But that's the part that really makes us stand out the most. So it's just
I'm from the smallest part of New York City.
Far Rockaway.
Look it up. Look it up. It's like this big. No one even knows it exists, but that's where I'm from.
Yeah, true. And you know what? Just thank you again so much for coming on the show, and I hope to we have you back on the Homeland Daily.
Yeah, man. Big up, Rico. Long time. All right.
Yeah.
Dane, thank you.
Thank you, man. I wish I knew the actor and his name, and I know he did it at the BT Awards when he said, "Just because I'm black doesn't mean I'm not magic." You guys saw something fantastic tonight, and I've always told my kids this, that when you make your light shine, you're giving permission for other people to make their light shine. The reason my light shines so bright now is because of friends like this. So pick your friends wisely. That's my only advice for tonight, because I swear to you, this guy's like a brother to me, and he has done so much mentorship without him knowing. He has no idea, but he's the reason that I strive to be better than I think I am. All right, guys. So, Jay Nice, thank you so much for being a part of the show. We'll see you very soon. All right.
Bless up here.
All right, man. That's Jay Nice, everybody. You can catch him on Chum FM. Download it on the app at iHeartRadio and listen to his morning show. And also, he DJs every single Friday night on Chum FM. Or you can catch him at one of your favorite concerts, or maybe there's going to be a season soon that has him on. You never know what he's going to be doing. But guys, that is the end of the Homeland Daily. We had a great time. Don't forget, I don't know, episode 41 tomorrow or 40. I'm not sure. It could be right.
I'll look it
I
up.
said what I said.
So we'll see you for episode 41 tomorrow with DJ Yo-Yo on our happy hour. You guys have a good time. God loves you. We love you. Peace, y'all.
trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. For the record.